Hello, I'm Kayla. This is Flosstube 28, I believe, and it is August 2nd, 2023. How you doing? It's been another 5-6 weeks or so. But here I am and ready to share. I have some cross stitch progress and some knitting and crochet and quilting to share with you today. Yeah, so that's that. Let's just start. Could I be more awkward? Okay, so in my last video, I shared that I had just started a Plant of Rapid Growth by Heartstring Samplery. I'm using everything called for. This called for fabric, which is 36 count Heartland by Picture This Plus, and the called for overdyed threads. And I had just started the border as like a teensiest bit. And I was like, oh, I don't think I'll finish the border before I start doing other stuff. But I actually did finish the outline. Please. Okay. I didn't iron anything. This was very last minute that I was like, oh, I'm going to do a floss tube. So anyway, so I actually did do the whole outline of the border. I completed page 1, which is all this stitching. And then I moved on to page 2, which is basically, the whole page is basically the house. And I obviously didn't finish page 2, but before I was like, man, I'm done for now. I was riding that wave until I knew I just had to stop. But anyway, I got a decent amount done. The whole border outline and, you know, a whole page and some of the second page. Pretty pleased with that. I don't know what to say about it. I do really like stitching on this. I don't know what my problem is. I can never just stick to anything, almost never anyway. You know, I had like 2 seconds where I was like, oh, maybe I'll just stitch this till it's finished. And then I was like, who do I think I am? But I really love this flower so much. They make me happy. So that's my first project that I worked on for a significant amount of time. I also worked for a few days to catch myself up and get ahead for a couple weeks. But now that it's been long enough that I've worked on it, I need to do another like clump of several of these. But I did work on 1814 Butterfly Collection by Carriage House Samplings. Let me see. I did a good deal of over one, I think. So I did this guy and this guy. Maybe it was a good deal is 2 over ones, but whatever. So I did those guys and him. Started that one, maybe did that one, finished that one. I don't know. Let me just show you the actual thing, shall I? Oh yeah, and I'm stopped in the middle of stitching, so typical. Okay, so what did I do? When last you saw it, I think this guy existed, but this guy also existed but wasn't filled in. So I filled him in with satin stitches. And then I moved up. Not sure if this was there before, but I did this one in the over 1, that one, that one, that one, that's over 1, that one. Yeah, and started this guy. So I did like 6 and finished that one, 6.5. But yeah, it's time I need to do another several. I thought for when I started this, I was like, oh, if I do 1 a week, you know, that'll be great. But I don't think that's my jam. I like to work on it for a couple days and get a chunk done and then put it away for a while. So yeah, I'm using the DMC conversion. I don't think it's called for DMC. Actually, yeah, no, it's called for Soie d'Alger. So I'm using the DMC conversion and I'm using 36 count Zweigart of some sort. I've said it before, now I can't think what it's called. Summer khaki. But I really do love it. I really do love it. I worked on this for like an hour or two, probably an hour. I pulled out my Not Forgotten Farm Robin, what is this called? Folk Bird Needle Book. This is on 36 count Weeks Dye Works gray, a scrap of it with DMC, the called for. And literally all I did was start doing these little penny, irregular pennies in the border. So that was probably not really enough to show, but there you go. Let me think what else is going on here. Okay, so I was trying to go in order of time. So yeah, this is correct. I pulled out my Grace Bridges sampler by Stacy Nash Primitives and worked on it for a couple of days. At the rate I'm going with this thing, because I hadn't touched it all year, it'll probably take me like, I don't know, 10 years to finish it or something. Hopefully not, but that's fine. I did almost complete a motif. I just have to finish the, oh no, I did no, I didn't. I was right. I'm almost done this motif. This is what I had worked on, and I still have to put in this light gray in these spots. So that's what I worked on for a couple of days, but let me show you the whole thing. This is on Zweigart 36 count antique ivory with the called for DMC. And it's a fat half, or it was a fat half. I might have trimmed it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I definitely had trimmed it, but it couldn't fit on a fat quarter. It was too big. So it's gonna take me forever to finish this thing. But there's a lot of open space in here. You know, it's not like a very tightly packed sampler. But I have all of this left to do. So, I don't know. Probably have to get my act together a little bit. But I do love it. I love all the funky birds. Like that one and that one especially are my absolute favorites. They're hilarious. I don't know why. They make me really happy. So that got a tiny bit of love. And of course, you know, we've been camping. We've been camping like twice and just living our best summer life. I haven't stitched every day at all. We had a yard sale. We've been doing house stuff, cleaning out the garage and all that stuff. So, you know, just, I don't think I stitch as much in the summer. Anyway, that's fine. Oh, I forgot something. Hold on a second. Okay. It's like I never even left. This was a start and a finish, and it's super tiny. I made this for my husband too. I can't remember where I got, okay, so I got it from Etsy, the pattern. It's like called Happy Whiskey Bottle or something. I can't remember whose shop it is, like what the name of the shop is. And I used whatever called for DMC I had, but there was a couple that I didn't have, so I just picked whatever looked closest to the picture. And the only other change I made is that in the PDF, whiskey is spelled wrong. It doesn't have the E, so I realized as I was doing the stitching for that and just squeezed in the E. So you can tell it's a little bit tight, but it's fine. And then I just put it on this mat board, mounted it to this mat board, and this is just probably a dollar store frame that I had for a while. I gave this to my husband as part of his Father's Day present. I think this is a scrap of 32 count lemon yellow that I did the Thankful Every Day by Heartstring Samplery on. I'm pretty sure. So yeah. That's my this is my FFO. It really took me like a couple of hours, but I think it's really cute and it makes me smile. So, and my husband liked it. Okay, I I think I already have everything now. So I had a new start. This was not like planned out really. I hadn't planned it out, but okay, so what happened was my husband and son went to a flea market and got this pattern for me. That's what had happened. This is from 1997. It's Jeanette Cruz Designs Inc. And this is 59 chickens. And my husband he was like, maybe you could use this as a camping whip. And I was like, yeah, I haven't really been bringing any of my stitching camping because I was afraid I would get it super grubby. And he was like, oh, well, just, you know, whatever, if you want to. And I was like, yeah, totally. So I gathered up whatever DMC I had, and then usually before we go on a camping trip, we have like most of the food we're gonna bring and drinks and whatever, but sometimes we'll stop somewhere and get some more snacks or whatever. So I was like, well, before our trip, when we're going to the store, can we also stop at Michael's or Hobby Lobby so I can get the rest of the DMC? And he was like, okay. So right before our camping trip, after we got our snacks, or before we got our snacks, we went to Michael's and I got all the DMC except for one, $8.90 they were out of, which is whatever, it's still on my list. But, and I had brought fabric with me and scissors and the thing, and we only camped for really like a day and a half. We ended up going home early that time, and I didn't stitch very much. But here's my first chicken's tail. It's not that much, but that's okay. So, I'm using the called for DMC, and this is XJU Designs 36 count farm eggs. I figured it was perfect because farm eggs, chickens, and also it's quite grubby looking as it is. So if I get it kind of grubby whilst camping, it won't matter so much, you know? Plus DMC is supposed to be color fast. So if I have to wash it after it's done, after a million years, then that's fine. So I'm going to be doing the layout that is on the cover, which is not charted in here. It says somewhere inside the pattern, you can like call a number or write a letter to this address and request a placement diagram. But the person that owned this previously actually numbered in pencil, and it coincides like each, well, not to like, but they're numbered. So the person that owned this previously numbered in pencil, so I can just follow her numbered pencils and find the charted chicken and put it where I want it to be. So that's my not very long planned out camping start. Yeah. And I really like it. So it's not that random for me because I love chickens, but it was random kind of, but I'm happy about it. Yeah. And then I had a kind of finish actually, but it's not a super exciting one because it's not a big finish. You'll see what I mean. I worked some more on Halloween at Hawk Run Hollow by Carriage House Samplings, and I finished the first block and started the second block, but don't have very much on this at all. So I'm gonna consider that a finish, even though obviously it's not a finish, and I'm still have yet to do a bajillion hours worth of stitching to complete the whole thing, but I'm still pleased nonetheless. I'm using the called for DMC and 36 count vintage country mocha. It's a fat quarter. I was able to fit it all on the fat quarter, if you guys remember that whole discussion. Of course, I've got a hanging black thread, excuse that. But here it is. Let me fold this boring part over. So my French knots for the spider eyes are a little bit messy. I did too many wraps on my needle and I wasn't even at home and I was winging it. So he looks a little wonky-eyed, but don't look too close and you won't mind. And then the bat's eyes were supposed to be French knots, but because I realized that I made the spider's eyes wonky, I just did little X's. And I think they're fine. A little wonky. This guy's given like a side eye to the spider. It's cool. I like it. So yeah, block one done. Only what? 3, 6, 10 more. This only took me 10 months, no big deal, right? But I did start the second block. Haven't worked on it in days. I haven't stitched in days, actually. Kind of got on a knitting crochet kick there, so I'll talk about that later. But there's the whole outline done and the first little crow dude done, besides he's got some feet that he doesn't have feet yet. So that is actually, I think, basically it for my cross stitch. Besides this, I do want to share, I have another planned start. I know I want to finish stuff, but I also have been planning this since I got it, so whatever. At some point, whenever I feel really fall-ish, because I know it's just August, but you know, maybe I'll start this for like beginning school, because we're starting school at the end of this month. I'm not sure. Autumn Cloche by Hello from Liz Matthews. I cannot wait to start this. I've been planning this literally all year. I have DMC, which I guess is the DMC conversion, I'm sure. This fabric is an XJU Designs, I believe. I got it from Kitten Stitcher, and I'm just gonna check the label because I don't remember what it's called. Old Mushroom. And it's 36 count, of course, because that's my fave at the moment. And I think it's going to be perfect for this pattern. I think so. So I don't know what day I'm starting this. In fact, I almost started it before, but then I was like, no, let me work on my other Halloweeny pattern that I have. And that's when I finished the block at the Hawk Run Hollow block. But this'll be coming up at some point. So that's my only semi-concrete plan, is I know I'm going to start this at some point. I also am thinking I want to spend some good time working on my Long Dog sampler froth and bubble chart. I said at the beginning of this year that I wanted to finish it this year, and I don't think I will. I spent January working on it. I got a lot done, but I still have 2 panels worth of outlining to do and then a ton of fill in with color. So, you know, it's probably not going to happen, but I would like to work on it and see what other progress I can make. But I tend to not like to listen to my own ideas about what I should be doing. So we'll see. I don't have any new purchases right now. And so if you're only here for cross stitch, thanks for joining me. I do have some knitting, crochet, and quilting to share, along with a little bit of plans. So I'm going to just transfer some stuff over to this side real quick, and then I'll talk about that. Okay, oh, real quick. Speaking of Halloween-y stuff, I love fall. It's my favorite. So anyway, Billy, my husband, was thrifting and he found this from, Beetlejuice. And it is actually, whatever. But anyway, this, it was a purse, but it didn't have this chain. So I bought this chain online and it matches the hardware perfectly. And now I can use it as a little bag during Halloween time. I mean, all year too, if I wanted, but I'm really excited about this. I love Tim Burton movies, so I just wanted to share that because it was right behind me. It was making me happy, so yeah. Okay, now we're on to knitting and crochet. Okay, so yeah, the past few days I've been very yarny feeling. I have worked some more on Amy's sock. This is still not near long enough to be a sock yet, unless she wanted some shorties. But I'm going to put a few more inches into this before I make the toes. But I don't remember what this pattern is called. I should have probably prepared a little better, sorry. This is Christine Archer Designs Simply Irresistible Socks in the fingering weight. Black and white picture because laser printer. Very, very, very simple pattern. I was almost annoyed that I bought it, but not like I don't want to support designers, you know, but I was just like, oh, I could have figured this out. But anyway, it's basically a garter panel and then ribbing all along the sides and back of the sock. So you don't do, oh, I'm almost dropping a stitch. So you don't do any like a heel gusset or anything like that, which is good for gift knitting. And it's also good for children whose feet are continually growing. So yeah, and the yarn that I'm using, let's see, do I have the ball in here? It's from Knit Picks. It's a Muse fingering weight and something speckle. Delight Speckle. The other one is a stroll from Knit Picks, and it's just a gray, dark gray. That'll be the toes and the cuffs. So a little bit of progress on that, not a ton. I mean, nothing, it doesn't look exciting, but it really does take forever. I'm kind of tired of the 1x1 rib, but whatever, it's fine. And then I worked some more on my shawl that I've got in progress. I can't remember what it's called. I'm getting like blanket on everything here. That's kind of annoying. Sorry. My Happy Place shawl by NCL Knits. Happy Place, not My Happy Place. Just trying to get to the cover page here. Again, this is a black and white photo, so it doesn't do it justice. And I'm using, of course, they're both currently attached because I just started the stripey row. But I'm using a Madeline Tosh, I guess it's skinny singles, in this orangey color and this dark navy color. This is, I think it's called Brick Dust or something, and this is Dubrovnik. Please excuse my pronunciation, but I think they're yummy and delicious together, and I love them. And let me see, how do I show this properly? Oh goodness, here we go. Is that the front? No, that's the back. Okay. Give me a second, sorry. All right, here we go. And so here's where I'm at. I was able to complete, when I maybe showed it, I had finished this lace section. So I did this whole fisherman's rib section and this garter section, and I'm starting a garter stripe section. After that, it'll be another lace section, but this time in the dark blue. So I really like it. I don't need another shawl, but what's need have to do with it at this point, you know? The fisherman's rib is so deliciously squishy. Like, I love it. And that comes into some knitting plans that I have. I have this, I already caked it up, but it was a Cascade 220 Superwash Wave. Cascade 220 Superwash Wave. Does it have a color on it? Just says color number 107. So anyway, so I only had a single skein of this. It's worsted weight. And I was like, at some point I'll just make a hat. You know, who doesn't love a hat? Again, I don't need another hat, but whatever. But because of the colors in this and the way the yarn is, I didn't want to do a super, like I didn't want to do a cabled hat because I felt like the cables would get lost in this yarn, you know? And I didn't want to just do a stockinette hat because I thought it would be boring. But now, because I'm obsessed with this fisherman's rib in this shawl so much, I decided to do this fisherman's rib hat by Very Pink Knits. Okay, again, this is one of those things, like, I could figure out a hat pattern on my own. I've knit plenty of worsted weight hats, so I could just figure it out. But I went ahead and bought this pattern. It was like $5 from Ravelry. Very Pink Knits. I've been using her tutorials since I've been knitting. So I figured I should just go ahead and support her because she's really helped me out a lot of times with her free videos on YouTube. So hers is a 3-color thing, and then there's a scarf set that goes with it, but I'm just gonna do it with the 1 color and skip the plain knit things. I'm not sure when I'll start that. Okay, And let me put this away real quick, or at least I'll just shove it to the side. Okay, and then yesterday, I started a new project. It's a crochet project, and it's going to be a sweater. I've never knit, or no, I've knit sweaters. I've never crocheted any clothing besides like baby booties, I think, and hats and stuff, but actual clothing for my body, I've never crocheted that. This is called the Uriu cardigan. It's by Hey Carrie. Found it on Ravelry. It's available for free on her website, but for an ad-free PDF, it's like $5 from Etsy. I went ahead and did that because I didn't want to copy down all the instructions or print out the webpage. I was trying to be supportive. So it's a super simple pattern. It just looks like one of these cute cardigans. It looks like a ribbed knit cardigan, honestly. I like it. I'm attracted to it because it really looks, for someone who doesn't know crochet and knit very well, they could think it was knit. Does that make sense? For someone who crochets and knits, they'll be like, oh, that's interesting. But it's quite simple construction. You knit it or crochet it in pieces, excuse me. And right now I'm working on the back panel. Let me get my hook out of the way. So you're working on the back panel, and it's crocheted like on the sideways. So yeah, I'm using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Tweed and Welly's Heather. If you remember, if you watched a few months ago, when I was starting my Felix cardigan, I was about to use this yarn for that, and then I was like, wait, I won't be able to see the raglan increases in this yarn, so then I opted to do a different yarn for that. So this has just been sitting, waiting for me to figure out what pattern to use, and I was trying to think of a knit pattern. I was going to do a pullover, but I don't know, I've been trying to wear dresses more, and I feel like cardigan is just going to be more useful for that, if that makes sense. Made sense to me yesterday when I went ahead and started it. So I don't know, I'm like a fourth of the way done the back panel. Then I have to do the two front panels and the arms, seam it all together, and then just do the button band. But it's quite simple and not scary construction at all. So this is what the yarn looks like in a cake. I might actually, because I had plenty to knit a sweater in this, I'm a little worried that I won't have enough to crochet a sweater in this, because crochet does eat up quite a bit of yarn. But I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I might have to order more, which kind of is annoying because the point was like, oh, use up stash. But, you know. Oh, it's a size, I don't know if it matters to you what size hook it is. It's an H8, 5.5 millimeter? No, 5 millimeter hook, sorry. Yeah, I like it so far. It's pretty easy to understand. The only thing I would say that was kind of annoying is in reading through the pattern, there was a couple things that were like a little unclear, which if you're using the free version isn't really that big of a deal, but it's like some things you have to infer, and it's not hard to infer them if you've ever crocheted anything or are semi-familiar with garment construction. You know, like that you would typically use a smaller needle for ribbing and so on and so forth, or button bands, you know, but it doesn't actually specifically say to use the smaller hook for the button band, which, because I paid $5 for the pattern, it would be cool that it was there. You know what I mean? Like I know that I have to use the smaller hook, but it would be cool if it said it, if that makes sense. But like I said, it's not terribly hard to figure out that that's what you have to do. Okay. Oh, do you see these flowers? I moved them so that I could show them off. They're from my garden. It's mostly zinnias, rudbeckia, marigolds, and a couple other things. Yeah, anyway. Okay, my last thing to show you is I finished Amy's quilt top. Yay, finally! And I have it layered up into a quilt sandwich. Let me grab it. Oh. So I actually took a quick video of the kids holding it up outside. I'll probably insert that at some point in here because it's going to be hard to show. It's quite large. This is just the back backing fabric. It's it's 118 wide piece. And it's just a Kona bubblegum pink of some, I believe. This might be upside down, but anyway, it's gonna be pretty big. I opted not to do any borders because this is pretty big. And I had Amy lay on it, and she's got plenty of space to grow, so. Good job, guys. Okay, yeah, I'll just put in the video. I'll put in the video of the kids holding it for me outside. So next is I have to quilt it and bind it, but I also have some quilt plans. Ooh, Flosstube knows. Another quilt planned. I've mentioned before, if you maybe remember, I don't know, Liam and little Billy also want bed-size quilts. And besides all the quilts that I have in my brain that I want to make, and the other quilts I have quilt tops for that I want to finish. But anyway, so I was thinking, okay, let me finish Amy's quilt and then I'll move on to the boys' individual quilts. I have an idea in my head for Liam's, which is kind of like a 16 patch alternated with a star block of some sort and just like really bright scrappy colors. That's probably what I'm gonna do. And I have a lot of the fabrics already for that. But for little Billy, who is 17 going on 18 in September, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then I was influenced by Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. She just made herself a Madeline quilt. This is by Penelope, handmade. And it's, pretty simple construction, obviously. Liz did the scrappy version with like a jelly roll. And I was like immediately envisioning this with fabrics that I thought Billy would like. So what I ended up doing was I have the fabric picked out. I don't have it yet, but I consulted with him. I took screenshots of all the fabric collections that I thought he might like. And I had a few that I really thought he would like, and others I was like, oh, this is kind of a wild card, but we'll see. And then there was like 2 that I was really hoping he was gonna pick. I was like, I really wanna make the quilt out of these. And if he doesn't pick them, maybe I'll make the quilt for myself in these. But actually, my absolute favorite one was his favorite one, and I was a little bit surprised because it's super loud. So stay tuned, I'll show you guys next time what he picked. I'm gonna keep it secret, but I'm really excited. And then I just will have a neutrally gray, light gray. And the backing is a wide cut backing, and it's gonna match the jelly rolls. So I'm excited to make this one. If I just get my act together, it shouldn't take me too long, even though it's a giant one. But I do have to quilt Amy's quilt first. So that's all my plans. Besides the fact that I'm in planning mode for our school year coming up. So we're starting August 28th. So we have like just short of 4 weeks left. And yeah, so I finally ordered our curriculums. I think a lot of homeschool moms order their curriculum before their previous school year ended. But I don't do that. I probably should, but I don't, so. Whatever, it's fine. Everything's fine. It's ordered. It should be arriving today, actually. So that's exciting. And yeah, just kind of in planning mode. And we're going on another 5-day camping trip coming up. Oh, let me tell you. Okay, sorry. Now this is just chatty. Everything else interesting is probably done. So bye if you don't want to hear me just yap about stuff. So our second to last camping trip, we've been going to a lot of state parks, state forests. It's pretty affordable, and you're not going to get nearly as many amenities with a lot of them, but we've gone to Wharton State Forest twice, really liked that, and that's just like pit toilets and a pump, and that's fine. We enjoyed that. We went to Jenny Jump State Forest, and that's the one I'm going to talk about. We also did Spruce Run Recreation Area, which is, like it sounds, it's not really a forest, it's more of a recreation area, but we were right on the reservoir, so that was nice. But okay, when we went to Jenny Jump State Forest, which is up in more northern part of the state, not like super north, but my sister came, which was super cool. My sister and her wife came, and so that was nice because they haven't been camping like as adults, I think, but they wanted to, so they came. But the first night, it was torrential downpour storms all night long, and we made a mistake by not having this amazing canopy. I was like, okay, my husband left in the middle to go get a better canopy because the canopy that we had was like a thrifted, maybe was good in its day, jalopy, like always sagging on at least two of the sides, no matter how tight you tied it and spread it out and redid it and everything. So we were all huddled under this jalopy canopy, right? And it's like dripping like crazy and puddling, and it's torrential downpouring, thunder and lightning. We were like, what on earth? We're watching water just like pour under our tent. And I was like, oh no, I hope the tent is dry. So anyway, my husband was like, this is ridiculous. I have to go get something different. I'm gonna find a Walmart. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So that was kind of an adventure. So me and the kids like stayed under the jalopy canopy until we got too cold, and then we went in the tent and huddled up in our things, our sleeping bags. But he got a canopy for rather cheap, and now we're significantly better prepared. And then the second night, about midnight, it started again, and it was crazy. But the second morning, we were like, okay, we'll just get breakfast on the way home. Let's pack up. It reminded me of that book, Berenstain Bears and Too Much Vacation. Anyway, it was kind of funny, but yeah, our tent didn't get flooded too bad. Got a little bit of puddles in it because our sleeping pads kind of butted up against the wall and it messed with everything, but it's fine. But Amy and I and Leah and Heather went hiking during the day when it was not pouring. We did like a 4-mile hike almost to Ghost Lake. That's what it's called. The whole state forest, if you ever wanted to look into it, Jenny Jump State Forest has a lot of like morbid and spooky stories surrounding it. So that was kind of cool. Like you walk by this old ruins of a building, and it's like called Jenny's house, and the forest is named for Jenny, who was like a little girl who jumped off a cliff because her father was like, Jenny, jump. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But okay, I just went off on a tangent. I'm gonna go. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but yeah, I hope you're doing well. I hope your stitching and your making is bringing you lots of joy, and I hope you're having a good summer. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.